Hello and welcome to Politics Today. I'm Farooq Patafi. Once again, we are going to talk about the economy of this country. An army marches on its stomach. Economy is one of the most important things in any country's future. Pakistan in the previous 4 years has been talking a lot about China-Pakistan economic corridor. But repeatedly, the question that was asked was whether Pakistan can include other countries into the scheme of things as well or not. Because if you talk about the connectivity issue, it is very important to remember that it is a crucial, the crucial thing is it can't be, or it usually isn't, connectivity only between two countries. It has to be more than two. Now it seems that apart from China and Pakistan, we have a third participant, third investor. Saudi Arabia's team is in Pakistan, and they're debating how they can be, they're discussing how they can be part of this project. We have to discuss that today, and we have to talk about various other aspects as well. Another very important team in Pakistan is of IMF. But as the government has already stated, the finance minister has stated, the nature of talks is of confidence building, not of borrowing at this moment. One report that I saw in the papers was said that Pakistan doesn't need to borrow from IMF at least till the December of this year. And while we are talking about this, something big has happened in IMF itself as well. Their chief economist has changed. A professor of renown with Indian ties, Indian roots has been promoted to that post. We will try talking about that as well, because so far what we have seen, her comment has been very objective, but what it means for Pakistan. Finally, a very important aspect is, if you can see a graph that is in front of you, it has been just released by the State Bank of Pakistan. It shows you the projections or the changes in our economy, particularly expected economic conditions index that you can see in green here. Then current economic condition in black, and in blue you can see consumer confidence index. And if you notice, since May, it has spiked. All indicators are moving up. So it is also good news for the economy that all these aspects are strengthening at a time when Pakistan needs to focus on its economy, and when Pakistani new government, the new government in Islamabad, has said that it is going to focus on economy a lot. In order to discuss all these matters and more, we are joined by a very distinguished panel. We are joined at this moment by Shakeel Ramay, who's sitting next to me, and he works for Zalmi Foundation. Thank you very much for being part of the program. Next to him is Dr. Manzoor Ahmad, former ambassador to WTO, World Trade Organization. And this seems to be a breed that is in demand at this moment, but thanks to Donald Trump, maybe a lot of sand is shifting. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Next to him is Tauseef Zaman Saab, former president of Islamabad Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program as well. I have to start with you, Shakeel Ramay. And what do you think? What exactly will be the quantum of Saudi investment in CPEC? And what exactly is going to be the nature of changes that it brings?
First of all, that is a good sign that new partners are coming. So it's a reason the new partners are coming is because government is becoming more open about the CPEC. In the previous times, the government was not much open. That's why it hinders the participation of.
Why not?
So I don't know why not. They were not very much open. You know it better.
No, so, yeah, you have to try telling me that. So otherwise, some of my participant is going to tell me that.
So they can. So I just want to focus on your question. Okay. So on Saudi Arabia question.
So he has already given it away. He is smiling at this moment, and I take it he has an answer.
Okay. So the thing is, Saudi or any other partner, they will be coming now. The fundamental question is how Pakistan deal. It's not the who is coming. It's the point how Pakistan will deal. Yeah. Because the question is your economic situation. Yeah, you need money.
Can't Ramay sir, can't we actually bring it down to the elemental level? How much is the quantum of investment? So and how does it redefine the project itself?
So that's what I'm coming to the point. Yeah. The thing is, everybody will come their own expectation. They know that we are facing the some economic situation. So they will try to negotiate in their own way.
Okay.
So for example, the Saudis, they are talking about the hydropower plants, 2 hydropower plants. They are talking about oil refinery there in Gwadar. But the thing is,
In oil city particularly.
oil city, so 100,000 K. So they will be talking about the barrel per day. So that's a huge thing. But the thing is, again, it's not about the quantum. It's about how we deal, because everybody will want to get the maximum.
I know you're getting ahead of yourself, and I know there's a reason why you want to focus on how we are going to respond to that, and I'm going to come back to that. At this moment, I have to understand the elemental level first. So, second thing, sir, you can talk about the first as well, the quantum, estimated quantum of Saudi investment. But you can also talk about redefining CPEC. I can see that in future, maybe it won't be called CPEC, it will be called SECPEC or something of that sort if that happens. But what exactly is the nature of changes that promises?
I think it's not just Saudi Arabia. There are many other interested parties.
Okay.
Russia was one, there are many others, but it's just that Pakistan was not really stable. And also, you know, the CPEC is only started 2014, 15. It needed a little time to stabilize.
Right.
So now that actually it's made a lot of progress in the last 3-4 years, so others are interested in coming in. Saudis, you know, you asked about the quantum of investment. Normally, you know, a few years ago, you could say that they would come in with big money. But currently, they're having their own financial problems. They have just gone to the international market to borrow $12 billion for balancing their own books. So for the time being, it's not going to be that huge. They're just looking at, you know, I saw in the paper, they're looking at this LNG plants, who they know are big money makers.
LNG plants or the hydels?
Well, hydel, you know, hydel takes a long time.
Okay.
LNG, Haveli Badr, and 2 others, they're already functional. So it's already contributing to the economy. Okay. It's already, you know, you can make money quickly. Hydro, for example, if you take Basha, it's going to take 8-10 years.
Yeah.
And Kalabagh is not in on the table, because that could have been 5 years.
Because of the lack of consensus.
Because of our own economic problems.
Yeah.
So hydel is, if they want to do the little hydels, but I don't think that's in the picture. So something ready-made is more like refineries that you mentioned. Right. You know, Gwadar is ready, so our refineries are outdated, so that could be one thing.
Modernizing the refineries, right?
Refineries and these LNG plants.
LNG plants.
Yeah.
But I know that I'm asking you to spitball here, but you don't have any number in your mind.
Number in terms of investment?
Yeah.
I don't think it will be more than $2-3 billion.
$2-3 billion.
Yeah.
But I just
we
want
kept
to
on
add
hearing something about to the tune of 10 billion.
10 billion, because 9 billion is alone, is we are talking about the refinery city. So
No, but
9 billion is
Dr. Saab is saying that they have approached the international lenders for to balance their own books. So one has to take into cognizance
It
both the
happens.
realities.
If you look at the big countries, they at the same time,
they have denied.
Okay.
I mean, 10 billion
then it
claim,
is not official.
So Saudis have denied that they are not into this.
If you look at the big countries.
I have to go to the third guest, and Tauseef Zaman Saab, I know that I could see your smile, which is quite infectious. Tell us, what were you smiling at? Because I want to understand that in the past administration, what exactly was there that was keeping us from disclosing the details? And now that the present government has actually promised that they are going to, release more information, are you satisfied as a representative of the private sector?
Currently, we are pretty much all right as of today. As you have seen already, that all the indexes, they are going upwards. That is a good omen for the economy, good omen for the business community. What we always believed, what I personally believe, that we have to look as Pakistan economic corridor. Once we are able to understand that what we are talking about is the economic corridor of Pakistan,
Okay.
we can be very well compensated, we can very well build that, you know, and we can attach whatever we feel like. It could be C, it could be S, it could be E.
So
it
leave
could
the
be
name
A.
aside. I understand. Leave the name aside.
Okay.
And I'm glad that you have mentioned the indices also. But do tell me, what is behind, what exactly is the reason the previous government was not that forthcoming with the information regarding CPEC? Was it the nature of the beast? Was it nature of the previous government, or something else?
Probably in all those time, one of the Chinese railway minister, you know, he was got caught in the corruption cases, and there are many others.
Okay.
So
and
probably
duly processed as well.
Exactly. So
Prosecuted.
probably that story could not reach to this part of the world, and probably these were the attachments, you know, or the baggage.
No,
you know,
but there's a reason why I'm emphasizing this point, Tauseef Saab. One, CPEC is very important, and Pakistan has been repeatedly talking about it, right?
Probably we are all overselling it as of CPEC.
It might be so, but right now it seems that it is bringing dividends if it has brought more investment.
It's
in
a
the
good
shape of
starter to, you know, for the discussion.
But transparency is something that was promised by the current government, and that is something that is always healthy for any economy. And when it comes to the details, the problem is there is something that kept us away from the basic facts. And Saudis don't ask for that kind of information distribution either. So we have to actually look at the long-term interest and the short-term interest and the medium-term interest. I want to understand what was keeping us.
Sooner or later, it has to be transparent. It has to be open. If you really would like to grow, it's not about a country or two.
Okay.
You know, investment, business only happens where there's a trust, where there's a confidence that their money is safe. You know, last week I was in Hong Kong.
Okay.
You know, it's one tiny country. You know, the economy is as good. You know, the oversize of 8 million people in total, right?
Why are you calling it a country?
It's just a tiny
It is
dot.
an island, yeah.
Part of China.
No?
Yeah, it is
It's just a tiny, you know, a dot on the map. And the overall economy goes in billion. The per capita is $40,000 US per person, right? And I asked, what is the reason? They say everybody trusts everybody. Once you do, you know, anything hanky-panky, and you're out of business.
Okay.
You know,
And that is the point that is important. Transparency is pivotal to earn that kind of confidence
No,
or
and
that kind of
and
trust.
once we are talking about Pakistan and CPEC and the projects coming in and the economic zones and all these investments, you know, that is, the rule is universal. That is just the same.
Okay, coming back to the information sharing and the question again for you, sir, before I move on, is that I haven't seen that kind of projections or studies basically presented by the private sector either.
As a matter of fact, only this month, the complete cycle of the sectoral studies of all over Pakistan is being completed by World Bank, EY, and the Board of Investment.
Why not ICCI?
ICCI, we have our own quantum of doing things.
Okay.
We are doing that. You know, we have done
Some
few
quantum of solace? Okay, right.
I just want to add one thing here.
Yeah, sir.
So you
can add 10 things.
you are very much aware of international business circles. They have their well-established think tanks. But unfortunately in Pakistan, so businessman is not ready to invest on the intellectual output.
Okay.
Exactly. That's
So
that's
they are
one
not
of the
putting,
issues.
they
You're
just
right.
want to borrow the ideas, they want to borrow everything.
He's vociferously agreeing with you.
Yes, that's
so
how it is.
vociferously. But the fact is, it is an indictment of your trade.
Yes, so
You know,
that's why they are not able to compete the international market because they are very much behind in everything because they don't
I
know
went
what is
to-
the big data is happening right now.
I
What is
went
the-
to India's FICCI, and
Correct, yes.
boy, their
yes.
information
PhD,
was
FICCI.
intimidating at that time.
So look at our all the chambers, even Business Council, in the Federal Chamber of Pakistan. So
Why
what
would that be?
So because they are not ready to invest, they think it's a waste of the money.
No, R&D, how can R&D be not important?
No, this is
I
not,
don't know, because
it's not
whenever
like
we
that.
talk to the business
We
community,
have our
whenever
own
we talk to the
limitations. We
this-
are doing the R&D.
So whenever we talk to R&D is very limited.
Of course,
we have
we-
to accept this.
yeah.
The way you have to grow in the international market. Or you
You're
compete,
right.
you
But the
have to-
R&D is the missing part of the whole of economy of Pakistan. You know, if there are 10 sumotos have been taken, there should be one sumoto on the statistics division too. You know.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that is a fair point.
Our businessmen believe in the personal relationship.
Okay.
They are not believe in the on
you
the
know,
statistics.
it's not about
If
businessmen.
if you look
Okay,
at-
okay, we can't,
It's not about the
you know,
businessman.
convert this discussion into
anyone who's
a
doing
competition between the
Anyone-
researchers and the businessmen.
anyone who's not doing the research, that is pivotal. That is important. It's already sold.
Yeah.
Any organization which is growing cannot afford to miss out the research.
Yeah,
That's
but
what it is.
here's the problem, Dr. Saab, that whenever I look at the studies or the commentary on CPEC, usually what I get is a lot of English. I need numbers. I need data. And I don't get that. Who is going to crunch the numbers? Dr. Saab, it is a question to you, sir.
Well, you have to think that it's only 2014, 15 that
Right.
started. You see,
Right.
3-4 years, and you have the numbers. There was so many billions, and it was yeah. You may be right that it was the target was moving all the time. So they started with 36 billion, 45 billion, 61 billion, 70 billion. So that number kept growing because government of Pakistan wanted more and more products.
And that
projects.
should have encouraged research in the field?
Yes,
Because it
research
is like
normally,
snowballing.
It takes some time.
Yeah,
and in Pakistan we are not into our R&D overall for the government, for any chamber, for anybody. I don't blame him. I don't blame anybody.
Okay.
It's very tiny. It's research. We don't believe in that in general as a society. We don't believe in that. And even if somebody comes, some donors, they come and do some research and give us a report, nobody ever reads it. It's kept on the side. So it's a general problem. But we complain a lot about transparency, etc. But if you look at the websites, for example, I'm chairman of Pakistan LNG, and there's all the time on television that there's no transparency. There's all the transparency, but there are some things which the sellers they give some special. They have for every country. They have some special clauses. They give you some special flexibility or whatever, and they don't want you to release those to your competitors. So you have to keep them secret. So in case of CPEC,
if it is flexibility on their part, I can respect that.
Yeah.
But usually what happens is that the numbers that are given to us, they show some kind of bloated commitments on behalf of Pakistan. I'm not talking about CPEC, LNG, for example. And when you talk about that clause or those clauses, they are used to shield the politicians, compromises rather than the foreign company.
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you look at since you spoke about the LNG, I didn't want to bring the topic here, but I can assure you, I can show you the numbers that whichever Pakistan deal, whatever, even the Pakistan-Qatar deal, or subsequently the other two deals, these are the cheapest. We got a Singapore international consulting company based in Singapore, which is the best, which charges very high amount, to check what price we got and what our competitors got. We got the best prices. So it's not really, nothing is hidden. I mean, now it's a new government, so they can see it.
The only humble submission is I understand there are numbers that might be there. We are not merely looking. But there are others which might be projections and are useful. For example, if you are going to have the industrial hubs, right, that is very important. Somebody has to look at the demographics and how that is going to translate into economic betterment of the country. I don't see any commission study on that at all.
You see, you're right. There are two kinds of problems. One, our own, our chamber president, I'm not a critical of them, but Pakistan, there's a general atmosphere of protectionism. They think if some new investment comes, if say auto comes, our auto industry will be very worried. They were, for years they were closed. So there are many these. They think that, if something comes, our market share. In other countries, not like that. In Vietnam, look at any country, Bangladesh, etc. They welcome new investment. In our country, they're afraid of competition. That is the problem. And about those numbers, I mean, I know in CPEC there's a lot of, lot of misinformation, and especially being pushed by India and US because they were never in favor.
Especially
But-
India.
Yeah,
Because
India,
they kept on
no,
convincing.
both US, because US couldn't tolerate 70 countries being under China, this thing. Yeah.
Donald Trump sent his special emissary to the BRI summit. India did not.
Yeah,
So
but-
that tells you that America might be open to the idea, India is not.
No, yeah, maybe at one time, but no more under Trump.
I'm talking about Trump age.
No.
Yeah.
America is also, both countries are very anti. You see, the problem with CPEC thing is that in our case of energy projects, already Pakistan, WEPDA was asking anyone to come in at 17% interest rate, anyone to invest. Nobody was coming. So China come on the same terms. And now everyone says it's very expensive. But you look at these new plants being set up, the Chinese system. If you look at NEPRA website, our regulator's website, these new plants, electricity is being produced at 7, 8, 9 cents.
Okay.
Our old plants, previous plants, is 13 to 15 cents.
Right.
So, there's a lot of wrong propaganda.
Media speculation and negative projection also.
And
maybe.
misinformation.
Right, misinformation.
I just want to add here one thing. So on data is available. The problem is nobody is ready to make an analysis.
Okay.
We did an analysis in 2015. When
So
I
how
was-
many industrial cities are we going to have as a result of CPEC?
So that is depend how we plan the feasibility studies. That is different thing.
Who's
So
going to
look,
plan the feasibility
for example,
studies?
there are two things. What the data we have about the things and
Yeah.
what is our planning. That is the second part.
No, but
the cities,
hang on.
City
But
is a
let me
planning part.
qualify what my problem is. Few days ago, we were in this program talking about IMF actually, Pakistan going to IMF and how they lend money. And suddenly, one thing happens, and it goes back to one statement that was true for Donald Trump's policies with China, that he plays 3D chess, right? It is the age of competitors who are killers. All of a sudden, we realize that the chief economist of IMF is now an Indian lady, right? Nikki Haley is another example. India keeps on playing 3D chess with you, and you are not even prepared for two-dimensional model, where you talk about the past and the future. So who's going to come up with the
So
feasibility studies? Sir?
that's what I'm saying. That's if you allow me to complete. The one thing is data part. That is the way. The other part is the planning, future planning especially. That planning part is missing at large. So that I agree with you. But on data is available. For example, in 2015, we made the projection on the basis of data.
Okay.
In 2018, there would be a 6% GDP growth rate.
Okay.
But the point was missing here.
And whose job is it to actually work on the extrapolating that information and
So that's the
projection?
government. But being
The
a
government, private sector, or researcher?
So it's a job of
business,
it's a job of everybody because there are different functions to do.
So that
The
means
business sector.
if it
look,
is,
look,
if it is everybody's job, then nobody's
No,
job.
listen,
Nobody is going to do it.
I'm trying to distribute it. The business and the government, they have to invest on that research.
Okay.
The research community have to produce the research. Business community cannot say like that, you do the research and give us free of cost. So our problem is whatever the problem we are getting the funding in our country for think tanks, it's not coming from business, not coming from government, it's coming from the donors.
And
individual
I'm
donors.
sure Tauseef Saab has a lot to say on this. So go ahead.
No, the researcher wants us to do their bit of work.
Okay.
Right? So,
No, you have money. You can commission studies.
Okay.
You can pay the researcher as well.
On the other note, we have come to a stage what I believe at CPEC, where we have reached today, that our pilot study has been done. Right? Now is the time that when this government walks into the governance side,
They have walked
They
into
have-
it. They are ruling the country now.
exactly. Now they have all homework which was required to be done was already done. Now they have to take decision and move on.
Okay.
They need to just, as a business community also, we just need to scale up our efforts. We know that 3 pillars are already done. That is infrastructure, Gawad, and the electricity bit. The fourth one, economic zones. That is where a common businessman or SMEs needs to play their role. Yes, we are very much on. And it's not just Saudi Arabia or China. Italy and many other countries. And most importantly, as I said, it's about, first of all, we need to look at it as a Pakistan economic corridor. So these are if you look at the university numbers, if you look at the investments available in Pakistan, that is again a mindset where we say that our roads to be cleaned by a foreign company. Why do we need a foreign company to clean our roads?
if a foreign company is building it, shouldn't they have the first taker to clean it as well?
So cleaning our road is, there's something, likewise, our fundamental is, we say, agriculture. So what is stopping us to put up a, a packaging plant?
Here's the point. This point has been repeatedly made that when CPEC was being signed, when it was being agreed upon, at that time the government, the then government was under tremendous internal pressure. And maybe they didn't have the kind of research or homework that was needed. I understand the negotiations we had with the Chinese government, and they are our friends, they have been very cordial. When it comes to the private companies from China, maybe there are times or places where Pakistan could have, obtained a lot more, and it did not. So what happens to that now?
As a matter of fact, one of the interesting things about Chinese government is they are regularly, fluctuating or adjusting the, the contours for the private sector.
Their private sector, within their own country.
Exactly, right. And they support thoroughly to push off from the comfort zone for a Chinese company and go overseas and get the things done. If you look at many projects in Pakistan, these are the companies who have never been working anywhere else other than China, and they are working now globally. They are in Africa. You would go many places, and they are working over there. This, push is required from the government side to Pakistani business sector. To support them, tell them to Pakistan is just a corridor which is going to Africa. Africa is a vacuum where still we have some chances to work on. So probably one of the things government should focus on to push us to go to out of comfort zone and go to Africa and fetch the business.
Yeah, the government of Pakistan needs to do a lot, Dr. Saab, but here's the problem. Recently, when we were talking, or the government of Pakistan was talking to IMF, one thing that was advised, at least it was reported, was that in this international climate, maybe talking about trade isn't that much a great idea, because there's a trade war going between China and America, two of our closest allies. And then, not only that tough war, it is the age of protectionism. Pakistan is marketing itself as the trade hub. There's another strong point that we could have learned from China or India, and that is marketing their population as well, their huge demographic dividend, their youth as well. Pakistan doesn't seem to be doing that. If you have 200 million people in this country, they provide an excellent market. Why can't we actually sell that to the world?
You see, generally it's not the population. It's maybe you're 200 million, but if
Purchasing
only
capacity.
no, but if only 20 million can buy, then it's those 20 million people look at. For a long time, China had the same population. India had
Far lesser.
billion there, but they were not looking at billion or 1.3 billion because they were poor. Once they started making money, hundreds of millionaires came up, they had buying powers, so the population became more relevant. So long we remain poor, nobody would look at 200 million. They would only look at 10 million who can buy. So
So our 10 million are in the play, right?
Yeah.
And they have capacity to buy a lot.
They have capacity. But if you open up and your economies grows at, as India and China had been doing 8-9%, and your people become richer, then they will look at your population. You look at, Dubai being a small country with no population. You were talking about, Hong Kong, small island. Recently in Iceland, only 300,000 people, but one of the richest countries. So everybody is there. Lots of any store that you want are there. But they look at the buying power.
Dr. Saab, that is true. But don't you think that at this point, it seems that you'll have to make a choice, a political choice. Without that choice, you are neither here nor there.
What choice?
You know it. There's a trade war going between two of your closest allies.
Trade war is.
I think irrelevant for
Pakistan.
People say that this trade war is the first stage of a new world.
Let me explain
Cold War.
Trade war, because I've spent several years in trade. Let me explain this. For Pakistan, it's relevant for two reasons. One, for example, U.S. is our biggest export market. as one country. You know, it's 4.5 billion or 3.5 billion. And no, EU as a combined may be higher, but as a country, US is number one. And if US puts high tariffs, it's already with the recent 200 billion tariffs, although it still doesn't cover our export items like bread, linen, and towels, but other products like shirts and like other things, it has put tariffs on that. So that gives us an edge over China because we don't have to pay those tariffs, and if China has to pay, so that's one thing. The other thing is that because of these tariffs, many countries are, and even the Chinese own investor, they are trying to locate their industries to other countries. For the time being, they are considering Vietnam, they are considering Bangladesh, they are considering Philippines and India. But Pakistan is not there because our systems are so difficult. You know, anyone new person wants to come invest, it's very difficult.
Sir, behind that trade war, there are two very important elements.
Yeah.
One, Donald Trump, who says, make everything in my country, not in your country. That means that bring investment, not product. The second very important thing is there is this perception, maybe peddled by Indian intellectuals all over the world, that China and America are at loggerheads and there is a new Cold War that has started. And in that situation, imagine if there was fight between USSR and America and we wanted to be allies to both. You wouldn't gain any benefit from either side. India does that.
No, you don't have to become a part of it. For example, give example of a developing country like Turkey. You know, Turkey reacted violently and tried to with the US. And Donald Trump, on other countries, on steel and aluminium, the rate was 25%, 10%. On Turkey, they said, Turkey exports $1 billion of steel to US. And they said, it's 50% on you. And it's 20%, double. So cutting out Turkey. So we don't have to...
Lira actually plunged.
I mean, Lira plunged 40%. So, you know, Turkey kind of... so we should not get in that kind of... But if some window is created for us, we should make use of it.
Yeah, I'm actually a believer in working with both because as a child of a family that was very aggressive, one has to cling to mother and father, or brother and sister all the time, and you have to keep them together.
The thing is, first of all, why Chinese companies are not coming to Pakistan? Because we don't have any skilled labor available here. Okay. And fundamental thing which nobody is talking about, that is the uneducated and madrasas youth. Because we have 48% people who are completely illiterate, and 200 million kids are out of school. Oh, sorry, 20 million kids are out of school. And then 2.4 million...
The number keeps on varying, but you are...
So the 2.4 million kids are in madrasas. You go to any Pakistani training institute, TEFTA, NEFDIC, Manpower Institute, or any other institute, you will not find any seat for them, for uneducated youth. And that is a youth which is also creating problem for you in the peace and security.
Then comes a government that says they are going to invest in human development. And I have to actually take that statement on face value. It is good that they are going to do it.
So they have to do it. Otherwise, there is no other option because you cannot secure peace.
Okay.
Because if 42% people means in 220 million people, so what is the percentage of that?
Yeah, but with due respect, we are 72 years old country. Have we been sleeping?
That's the case. And for one thing, you are talking about the CPEC. This government never negotiated that. If you look at the Beijing Declaration 2003, so that was, you will find every footprint from there. In 2005, we have negotiated this, the Tharkol power plant, when Ambassador Riaz Khan was there.
This government actually signed a framework.
It's only signed, that's what I'm saying. So the thing is that the things are happening for a long time. And coming of Saudi Arabia and CPEC, it's not new, because Saudi Arabia or Italy or any other country, they are part of BRI. So in a BRI, if the part of one program, they can be part of another program.
They can be.
They can be. Because it's a huge community, because a community of the shared destiny.
Right.
So the thing is what we have to focus. I'm coming back to my first point, how we negotiate. Because the first opportunity we lost, but look at the attitude of Chinese now. They are ready to renegotiate. That means it was not the fault of the Chinese. It was a fault on our side which did not negotiate it well.
Yeah.
So that is the thing.
Again, you have reached a critical point where Tauseef Saab either seems to be disagreeing or wants
this
to
bit
say
is all
something.
right. As far as to your previous comment of the trade war, I think we are pretty safe in a way that, you know, Chinese economy reached to this level that they need prospering economies and markets, you know, where the people could be able to buy their products. You know, so if Chinese economy has to sustain, you know, they need to make.
Tauseef sahab, with due respect, that is an admirable, assessment. But with due respect, if you have listened to the likes of Raghuram Rajan, there was a time that we thought that India has arrived its economy with the model that was introduced by Manmohan Singh sahab, has succeeded and it has taken off. And now, because India's economy is in turbulence as well right now as we speak, the people like him, someone who has headed RBI, actually is disputing Manmohan Singh's model as well. So at this moment, we are not only negotiating or renegotiating today, we are renegotiating the progress of 1990s and 2000s as well.
That's how it is.
So you don't know whether, in any case, if Pakistan picks a side, and you're talking about China, that we don't end up thanking them.
No, I believe there will be impact, because when America will be America will be putting the ban or something like that. So Chinese companies who are working here, definitely China will also go after the Chinese company under the CPEC. So we have the Chinese company. We must prepare ourselves. We should not live in the dreams or like that. Nothing will happen. Definitely, if we look at their attitude, for example, in the case of Iran, in the case of Iran, so they are pushing Indians to come out of the deal of what you have to deal with them for the import of oil. Drop it.
So again, that actually brings me to a very important question regarding Saudi investment. But before that, Dr. Saab, you wanted to add something to what is being said?
Maybe your earlier point about 90s. There's a big difference between 90s and now. Now, why I say this? Maybe in 90s, Indian total trade was no more than $45–50 billion, and now it's about $500 billion. We didn't make much progress. Maybe we went from 10–15 to about 50 or 60. But the countries have really, maybe now they might be getting in trouble.
There was a fundamental shift in 90s in two economies.
Yes,
in India, which graduated from a socialist economy to a capitalist economy. Similarly, China started experimenting with the three represents.
Yes.
So if you're disputing that decision now.
I'm not disputing.
No, not you, sir. Raghuram Rajan, 18 other intellectuals. And that becomes a problem.
Both our own economists also still live in the 80s and 90s, and you read any their newspaper, they say, oh, we should be import substitution, and this was what India and all of them. So there are some people who live in the past, and there are many here also doing the same.
By the way, he is a brilliant economist. He is teaching in America now.
No, there could be. But there are some people who still believe. Don Roderick is international. There are many such people, but they still stay in the past.
Yeah, I just want to question one thing.
When you have a shock, you start questioning everything. After Donald Trump, we are questioning every basic aspect of economy.
No. The thing is that there are two things. Chinese development model is entirely different from the rest of the world. The rest of the model is the liberal economic model. Chinese model is a mix of everything. So the fundamental thing they do, they go for the incremental reforms. Second thing, they go for the experimentation. Third, they made sure the people benefit from here. In the case of India, we have to look at the statistics of a human development. Either this trade has contributed to the poverty reduction, education development, health improvement. If it is not contributed, that's mean the few business hubs, they have made the money. That is a different from China. But China did last the 40 years. They bring out the 700 million people out of poverty.
They did.
They did.
Actually also
but China did it. It's not because of incremental. Because, then Xiaoping came and they completely shunned the previous model. They started opening up. And once they joined the WTO in 2001, they completely changed. They were a very communist country, 100% communist country, and now highest number of millions are in China. So they completely, it's not incremental. They really went in a big way.
So that is in the 40 years, not in the 10 years. One thing that's qualified because it started from the 1981. So
whether you want to talk about Mao Zedong,
I just want to add to one thing.
Anybody.
So there are three principal contradictions in Chinese model of development. They themselves say the first contradiction came from Mao Zedong. He said there's a difference of classes.
Then
We have to finish
we
it.
don't have that kind of time to go through the entire history.
Yeah.
So, but the
You can
thing
talk
is-
about Deng Xiaoping, you can talk about umpteen others.
So then came the Deng
Jiang
Xiaoping.
Zemin as well. But the problem is the program's time is ending and we have to
Yeah.
actually reach somewhere before we conclude. Tauseef Saab, you wanted to say something about future. Is it possible that maybe, since it has been said that everybody has to do their job, we come together, everybody does, media, intelligentsia, the diplomatic side, and business community and the government, and they can come up with ideas or at least a safe space where we can start spitballing these ideas. Because we need the debate. We are not finding it on your television, my television screens, right?
You are absolutely right. We have to be together on this one single point that, there's a big data, which should be developed, which should be interpreted, which should be utilized
Which should be
within
mined.
Pakistan, with the objective of Pakistani economic corridor. It has nothing to do with China or anybody else. We have to know our vitals, we have to know our fundamentals, and we have to build on our own fundamentals. Also,
Very
once
quickly, sir.
I look at the TV channels, PTV is commendable, that's amazing. But there's a sports channel, there's an entertainment channel, there's a news channel. I would recommend your information minister give anybody an opportunity to come up with a crime channel. So all these
More
media
emphasis
houses,
on crime.
all media houses should have independent channel, where they can give a cycle chori, the Supreme Court, anything what is happening bad and negative.
Yeah, but
there should be one channel.
That's an
let
interesting
them be
idea.
different,
We
and
will discuss that, Tauseef Saab, in another program. Dr. Manzoor, you want to conclude?
Yeah, well, I like to say that we are creating unnecessary controversy about CPEC. We can see already in 3 years, sitting here, you would have load shedding. Now there's no more, and you go to your village or I go to my village, I see the connection. So we should build on it and not start questioning. We should move forward,
hang on.
not in the back.
Dr. Saab, with due respect, is it possible that we question because democracy is questioned as well? But we always stand with our state and our friends.
No, but unnecessary questions. They create doubts. Recently, why did China have to send in their foreign minister? Then they had to get the move because
that kind
they
of
were
media
worried.
speculation you are actually
I mean-
objecting to. Very quickly, sir.
So I was just trying to show you that this tweet by
No,
Asad
you
Umar.
cannot show me because you will not be able to show it to the screen.
So because he categorically mentioning about the state-owned enterprises rule.
Okay.
So what the China is getting at the global level.
Right.
So this is the mindset we have to look at that. And
Ramay
one
Saab.
last thing I just want to add. One of my friend, he is trying to sell this idea of big data to private sector government. Nobody is ready to buy because everybody
A
wants from
debate
government or the
about
other
big
side.
data seems 5 years old, and sadly we are now breaking in. Shakeel, Ramay, thank you very much for your time. I'm told that we have to conclude the program here. Dr. Manzoor Ahmad Saab, thank you very much. Always a great pleasure having you in the show. Tauseef Zaman Saab, thank you very much for your time as well. Viewers, you have listened to our participants. The important thing at this moment is to set a direction. The federal government seems ready to shake up things, and they are moving in that direction. But somewhere on the road, we have to decide that we have to join them as well. It cannot be done alone by the government. And if we want to be a democracy, it is healthy to keep on talking. One has to debate everything. If we are doing it within some confines of rationality, some confines of decency and morality, maybe this country can go really far ahead. This was today's program. Thank you very much for watching us. Take care.